So with that, I invite Avlesh here. Come on, boss. Come here. So, okay, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Oh, okay. I can dance too. Hey, hello, everyone. Good evening, and another boring 20, 30 minutes. Sorry. Mm. We are losing, by the way, those who are interested. Yeah. So, all right. I am Avlesh, co-founder of this Bombay-based startup called WebEngage, and it's been a while since we started. I think 3.5 years now. Lot of iteration in positioning the product, building the product, knowing what we do, doing what we do, and then finally got to a stage where we are almost set to scale this business in ways that you have known people like Girish for. So WebEngage essentially is a marketing automation solution, not in the way that you know of Marketo or others, but something that allows you to improve engagement on your side. In very layman terms, you walk into a store, an offline store, a retail store, a Chroma, and there is a guy at the gate wishing you hello, two people trying to escort you all the way in, providing you all sort of help, unsolicited help at times also. Let me show this to you. Do you need help here? Oh, while you're checking this, you might be interested in that as well. If you take this, there is a freebie there, and stuff like that. We wanted to replicate that experience in the virtual world. In the offline world, it's all human powered. In the virtual world, there is pretty much nothing. This was the single minded goal that we had when we started to build WebEngage. Took us almost a year and a half to actually get there in terms of the product. What exactly is the product to solve this pain point? And after that, it's been some very good adoption in India. In fact, very amazing adoption in India. We started scaling outside. We have a great presence in US and UK now. We're trying hard for all the rest of the world. Let's see how it goes. The very first question that Suresh wants me to answer is, why did we start this in the very first place? And I'll tell you the genesis of this. In my prior avatar, I was one of the startup team members, very early team members at burp.com, the very first hire. Those who don't know burp.com, it's not their fault. How many of you have heard of burp.com, BURRP? Yeah, those who don't, it was burp before Zomato ate burp's lunch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. These are the other sides of being who we are. We have seen so many of these that it's amazing to put it all together. We just let go. We just let it happen in front of our eyes. We could not do anything. Dipinder is a very good friend, and we used to block his IP and his friend's IP every time they used to scrape our account. But yeah, we just let them do it. So while we were trying to build, the irony of building consumer businesses back in those days, there are a lot of good investors here sitting in this room. Back in those days, even consumer businesses were supposed to make money and prove that they have a business model. So everyone was behind Burp's ass, make money. The guy said, no, we are a reviews platform. We don't make money. No, make money. No, we can't make money. We are a reviews platform. Go make money. Okay, let's make money. So we built a sales force. There were all these people going out. First, before we built a sales force, we actually built a product. We called it Small Business Solution, SBS. And what it was supposed to basically do is, find out inventory on Burp, multiple places, ad inventories, placements, search placements, the typical ad parlance for any publisher website. And we used to sell them. We used to sell them as properties and used to charge an advertiser. Who was an advertiser? Was typically a restaurant, a small business guy. We would charge him a small fee. to show him placement here and there. When the sales guys, they used to go out and sell, we got some really crazy insights. So the guys who were doing good, right, like the real good people who had good business, who had a good restaurant, they were not interested. They would just shoo them away. I have so much in my lead pipeline. People stand in queue outside. I'm not able to service them, maintaining my quality and levels. I don't need more people standing in queue. Just bug off. All right. Then there were others who were willing to pay, but these were the people who were, of course, not that upscale, definitely not doing great business, and people who generally had empty room, even on weekends. Why they had an empty room? Mostly because they had very poor service quality, bad food, bad location, ambience, could just be anything, mix and match of these. They were willing to pay for leads. So what we ended up doing was for whatever little sales that happened, we used to blatantly promote these guys on both. Downplay everything else, no matter what you're searching for Italian, a guy selling like, Mexican shows up. It's like, yeah, they're closed, it's fine. So yeah, we used to do that. We used to do that a lot just to make sure that these guys are getting enough leads, because they were paying us. We did that for quite some time, and I think in the next 3-4 months of starting to sell, we had reviews on the site which were all negative and targeted at birth, not at the restaurant. So it used to say, these guys, they recommended us. We downloaded the coupon, we went to that place, and that place sucked big time, and blah. Burp is responsible for this. And we had like, series of reviews like that. Then we went back to the old mantra. How much money we have in the bank? Enough to last for like 8 to 10 months. Okay, no selling. Investor, sell. No selling. We'll just die. And we died. Nobody came to rescue. But yeah, it's after we stopped doing that, we still had a sales force, a set of BD guys. They would go out and figure out what is that we can sell to them without diluting the brand. And it turned out to be that they came up with this whole concept of tickers on the site, time-bound tickers. So if you are in Bandra, a nice location in Bombay, if you're in Bandra, around Bandra, and you were looking for places to go for a drink, a bar or a lounge, anybody who's doing happy hours at that point of time, there's so many of them, that's the period that they really want to give you a happy hour promotion, was willing to pay, good or bad, was willing to pay you during that time if the guy was being promoted on birth. And those promotions, we made them lightweight tickers, something that just pops from somewhere, without you expecting it to pop. Turned out to a very good experiment. We started with one. The BD guys went out. We edited code for them, made it work for 2-3 people. And then finally, when the volume grew and the use cases grew, somebody only wanted to do it when the guy is in so-and-so neighborhood, within, if the guy is willing to pay extra bucks for more people, and so on and so forth, had very complex rules. But what we ended up doing was, at Burp, we built this entire thing for Burp, in context of Burp, which allowed our BD guys to sell tickers to restaurants, time-bound tickers, only during weekends, only on Christmas Day, and so on and so forth. Me and Ankit, my other co-founder, we spent time building this, and while we were fiddling with the idea of doing our own startup and creating this, the whole removing our mental blocks for WebEngage, we were trying to trying to convince ourselves that this could not be a Burp-only problem. Marketers or sales guys, BD guys, they want to do a lot of things on their own side. Marketing evolves around bringing people to the site. That's all marketing is about, wherever you go. We said there has to be more to it. The guy has to have more control on what kind of marketing he or she wants to do on the site. And the fact that they find it very difficult is because this fraternity called developers, people like us, who make it terrible for them. Every single change is like 4 days of change, testing, deployment, and God knows what not. We knew it was an opportunity. We did that. We built a product around it. The assumption was it was not a Burp-only problem. That's how it started. that was kind of, the time when we said this is something that we want to build. The exact ideas were not clear, but yeah, we started on that note. Building a product and selling, of course, selling started in India. There was no selling per se, low-touch SaaS product. We didn't even know how to price it. We didn't even know how to sell it, to be very honest. We had to put a price, so we put a price. Everybody does that. And then, because every SaaS is recurring billing, so we have recurring billing, and every SaaS has like payment gateways, so we have payment gateways, like what everybody else does. And then the first set of customers that we thought we had. So here is the fundamental flip. I'm slightly digressing from the topic, but I guess this will help you, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Both me and my other co-founder, we are engineers. That's how we have. That's been our trade. I moved on to do like other shittier things in life, sales and marketing. But yeah, that's basically the genesis. That's what we are. Our idea of creating the product was that we are actually creating it for the developer, the guy who is like just so pissed off with his marketing, which comes every day bothering him with things to do, because the developer already has a huge pipeline of things to do, so he doesn't love his marketing guys. And why we thought we were a developer product? Because of course we were one of them, so we knew how to sell to them, we knew how to talk to them. I spent good 3-4 months talking and showing the idea, the product, demoing it to people, and telling them what we built. That's been the experience of my lifetime. So those 3-4 months that I spent, everybody loved it. I think I reached out to a lot of people through existing networks in India, mostly in India, showed them the product, everybody loved it. And then I realized over a period of time that while I was showing it to them, they were thinking, I could do this myself too. They wouldn't tell it to me, but that's what they were thinking. So after all the conversation, what's the first question that they would ask? Avlesh, how secure is the JavaScript? Ours is a JavaScript widget, that's how it says on that. How secure is the JavaScript? I said, I love that question. Nobody asked that to me. Whiteboard, full, complete flow chart, and I will explain everything to them until they're convinced. And then, okay, so what's the price? Well, it's very cheap, $99 a month. $99 a month? What are you talking about? No, this is very expensive. I said, you kidding me? I just showed you a whole bunch of things. You could do all of this just for 99. 99? No, it's just prohibitive. We can't do it. I mean, for the first 3 months, it has to be free. We need to evaluate. And if it works, it can't be more than like $15, $20 a month. And I don't know if I was an idiot or they were. But I decided that they were, so I moved on. And we spent another 2-3 months trying to figure out who have we made this for. And it was coming out of that comfort zone, which changes a lot of things. So I came out of my comfort zone. I directly went to the marketing folks. I used to hate them. I still hate them. But yeah, I mean, never speak. They would never speak the language that we speak as developers, right? We are logical people. We speak sanity. We make sense all the time. They don't. But I approached them. I reached out to, I had a wish list of 12 to 13 people that I wanted to meet, used my investors, used all the existing networks, and reached out to them, found a way to get to them, showed them the product. And the proposition that I used to sell then? You know what? You can do all of this on your site without having to ever see the face of your developer. It's a promise. Push a button and it's live on your site. Anything that you want to do on your site, any kind of pop-up window that you want to push on your site with any kind of complicated rule, you don't need your developer. They loved the promise. That is how the conversations started. And they loved the demos. Out of the 12, 13 people that I'm talking about, we closed with 8. And the first sale that we did was $500 a month back then. Changes everything. And we have not looked back since then. So we're talking about Make My Trip was our first customer, by the way. From Make My Trip, Yatra, Flipkart, Snapdeal, Zabong, to anybody you can name in India, we have all of them on board. And after we did this, we started figuring out what is next. And that next was figuring out the soul of the product, which was missing. So we said we are an on-site engagement company, which essentially is on-site conversion company. 100 people come to your site. If you're an e-com, let's say, 4 people end up buying. With WebEngage, it will be 5. That's the promise. Show it now. We started doing it. So now we are an entire, how many of you are familiar with goals and conversions in Google? Quite a few. Good. I love talking to you guys. I don't find you guys elsewhere. You should be present everywhere. So we dollar uplifts. And you exactly know by spending this much and doing this, I got to do this extra. And those can be dollar uplifts. Those could be any other metric that you want to track, how much time the guy is spending. So let's say you have an average session time of 5 minutes today. With WebEngage, we'll take it to 6 minutes. And we now have a way to demonstrate that to you almost in real time and so on and so forth. So that's the soul that actually helped us get quickly past that 100 mark. And we have been doing incredibly well. Am I running out of time? So at this stage, I think the whole theme around this was, and I learned a lot more from the remaining people in the team in this room. How do you get from 0 to 10 K in MRR, 200K to your million in MRR, and the stages in between? We are well past our 100K mark, and hopefully by March around the same time, we'll be past our 1 million mark too, MRR. And it's amazing how the growth phase looks like. There are a lot of things that you do that you can do potentially to breach past your 100K and then quickly ramp up on growth. Girish is the right person to talk about it. I think when he does, we'll ask him those questions. But I'm experiencing it firsthand at WebEngage. We've changed so many things in the last 6 months. Almost revamped our entire sales processes, redone our entire marketing, the way we do it, the kind of things that we do. Product strategy, we think very, very differently about the product now, so on and so forth. So I'll answer specific questions, but I'll kind of, stop now. And any specific questions you guys have, please feel free to ask.
This is the amazing thing about this last story, right? One founder comes up and says, India customers suck. Another one goes to the...
So we have our revenue.
Yeah. So compare and contrast that.
So see again, well, yeah, they suck. It's the harsh reality of life. They do. But take this, okay? So I tried selling to the IT types. I wouldn't sell for 99 bucks. I haven't spent all my life just doing that, so I won't. So I did not. I moved on. I said, no, this is not the customer base. Maybe it's something else we're looking for. Moved on to marketing. Started selling to them. Now, when you do that, right, like a lot of things change. Your perspective changes, your product positioning changes, your marketing message changes, the product itself changes. And it took us a lot of time to realize that. It's not by saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to sell to you. It doesn't work that way. The change is gradual, but it has to happen if everything has to be aligned. The best part about selling in India has been that we are copycats. So because Make My Trip bought it, without naming, X and Y and Z also bought it. And because a Snapdeal bought it, XYZ also bought it. So it's a beautiful market. It's a beautiful market, because everyone is investing in e-com, so should I. I'll also invest in e-com. You should also. I recommend you should as well. So we are that market. We do realize that. We just don't accept it, which is okay, which is absolutely okay. But because we live in that market, we knew how to tap into that market. So we knew how to, we had a difficult time selling to Make My Trip, but because we did, we knew how to sell to others. And we did sell to everybody else. And in that manner, in that fashion, it's a wonderful market. You can, because somebody sees us on Flipkart, we get leads every day, just because the guy saw us on Flipkart. It works that way. Outside, it doesn't work exactly the same way. Pervasiveness, it does have, it helps. So I'm not saying no, it does not, but not in the way it happens in this country and the, Latin America, India, the third world especially. It just works that way. If the big boys are using you, everybody else will follow. They just start believing that this is the product that they want. So it's important for us. The flip was very important. From being able to sell to SMBs and then shifting the focus, saying, okay, no, I want to sell to the large guys, so that every other large guy and the small guy follows. I mean, it was a trick. We applied it. It worked for us. Today, India constitutes almost 28 to 30% of our revenues. US is 20%, UK is another 15%, and the rest is spread over. So,
Is open for questions.
Yeah.
Let's start from the back this time just to give some fair representation for folks at the end and also next to the speakers. Okay, guys. Questions, guys? No?
it's like everybody's bored to death already.
And here is one.
Hey.
So can you tell us a bit more about how did you, after building the product, how did you go about getting your first few customers, say 10 or 8? Because we are also building a similar product, most of us are, and we want to know how to go and get the first few customers.
All right, I'm going to tell you, each one of you, but one, you will never credit or discredit me for it. And two, you will not go and talk about it beyond this room. So my first few set of customers were acquired on Quora. How many of you heard of Quora? Good. As I said, I love you guys. So while we were trying to figure out, while I was out there trying to reach out to people and you know, spreading the word out, securing meetings, showing them what we did, mostly in India, we knew that there has to be a sustainable channel wherein we let the world know that we exist. And turned out to be, we tried a lot of things. Quora turned out to be the place which actually gave us a few sign-ups. Now, how it happened, there were people looking for competitor to X, you know, the best ways to collect feedback, the best answers to, the best way to create a survey question, which are the top 5, you know, push notification companies, how do you capture, how do you improve your CRO. We knew the topics that we wanted to spam people. And the first things I did on Quora was to sign up and blast Quora with all these answers. Pretty much answer as many questions as I can. I think a week into it, Quora admins, they start sending me threat notes saying they'll disable the account. No, they did. Yeah, they disabled it for a day. And I sent them like apologies and stuff. And they enabled it again. And I wrote 2 answers again. They disabled it again. So I said, you know what? There is somebody asking a direct question. What should I do? No, but you're blatantly promoting your product. I said, can I subtly promote it? I said, yeah, that's fine. So read through my answers on Quora and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's subtle promotions. It's like, you know what, customer satisfaction is very important to measure, and if you don't, you'll be screwed for the rest of your life, and these are the top 5 questions. Oh, by the way, there is a WebEngage which offers you this. Here is a link. Disclosure, I work for WebEngage.
Is Chris here?
Yeah.
He's a Quora guy too, right?
Yeah. Right. So those were Quora was pretty much the source, and then we spread that to a lot of other platforms. We are learning content from Paras and a lot of other people, trying to do a good job there. So now content is a sustainable channel for acquisition for us. We do a lot of good things on content.
Yeah. So when early customers come into picture, feedback and all is all important. Like we are in the stage, we have few 10, 15 customers and they're getting feedback. It gets very difficult for us to reach out to customers and also consider the feedback. And how did you tackle this and did you consider all feedback? Did you work around them?
Can you repeat the question?
I'm trying to understand that myself. So how to cope with early stage feedback? Is that the question? Am I summarizing it correctly? Okay. So the good part of that is that you don't get feedback early stage. Nobody cares less about who you are. Nobody gives you feedback. The only people that you'll get it from is people who are highly engaged with the product. People who really want to make sense of the time they're investing in a product. Fortunately, unfortunately, there are very few in early stage. Very few. Not too many people will bother. If they came, if they don't find what they're looking for, they just go. They wouldn't even tell you. They just go. So we tried a lot of things, trying to figure out why would somebody go. It was because of expectation mismatch. The guy wanted something else, and the product had something else, but we never knew because the guy never told it to us. So we used our own dog food in a lot of ways, trying to just proactively push and talk to people on the site at that point of time. So anybody who's there, that's the time, Neeraj talked about it, right? Like I still remember, my support team is pretty big now, but back in those days, me and Ankit, I think a good 20-30% of our time every day used to go in support. Every day. It used to bog us down, in the later stages, and that's when we started scaling the support team. But in the early stages, we had never had too many. Never had too many. It just, nobody cares. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Not too much.
We'll take one last question before we bring the next speaker on. Anybody else? There. Just can you give a mic there?
If I'm audible like this,
Yeah, go ahead.
we make my trips actually. So
Say that again?
we make my trips. This is our selling page. Did you face any problem when you went to say the biggies of the industry or the other words? So they're not trying to tell you that we can make it ourselves. We can have our own team who can do the small job or stuff like that.
So that's the difference. I wouldn't say that people didn't say that. A lot of people did. But there's a difference. There's a difference in the persona of the person that you're trying to talk to or pitch to. This will happen more often than not when you talk to the IT guys. And if your product is aimed at them, if that's the guy you're selling to, then be ready for that question any which ways. You can't avoid it. And you have to have a very simple answer for that in whatever possible ways you can. With marketing, the fact is that it's not about the cost of the tool. It's about the ROI. Everything changes. So if I'm able to demonstrate by, putting X in this tool, I got Y, and Y is greater than X, as long as you're able to do that, marketing doesn't care less. They wouldn't actually want to build tools. They don't have the time and patience. They're always running against time. Most people who have are sitting on the other sides that we are sitting on. So those people, we have come across these questions. More often than not, I say, go ahead and do it. You might as well do it, because I just cannot afford to sell it for below a certain price. So this is our benchmark. This is what we sell at. If you still think it's not value enough, I'll never be able to prove it to you. So the fact that we have to be on the same page in terms of the value is the prerequisite. Those who still ask me that question, I let them go. I really let them go as on date. I used to fight this battle long back. No, we have these features. How will you build this and how will you build that? It's pointless. See, for a complicated tool like us, there are multiple aspects. So the guy that when he says, I'll build it, he's only probably talking about this one aspect that he has seen. He's seen some window on the side, which is, ultimately a div with some HTML elements and so on and so forth. So yeah, anybody can build it. You guys can build it in 2 minutes. Go ahead. That's what he thinks WebEngage is. Now, because the thought process itself is flawed, that's what WebEngage is not. That's exactly what WebEngage is not. It's backed by a lot of 100 other things. That's the end point. You're talking about creating a pop-up. You can create it yourself. Go ahead and create it. So I know when to fight that battle and when not to. If you're sold on the value, you'll never ask that question. So to me, that's a mismatched prospect. Let go. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime, pleasure.
Hey.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks Avlesh.